cried the sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand.
Okay, I dare not go any further at this point. Oh, Lord, we are hove to on a very gentle breeze. Winds are blowing out of the west and lightening up to a point where they're almost going to completely die before they do their shift to the south-southwest, and then the system starts to form after that. The winds, the backing winds. I think they're backing. Yeah, they're going from that to that. Yeah, they're backing. Which is indicative of a little bit of a weather system coming. Go figure. It actually works out this time. So did some updates. Checking my position. It's just after, I think it's just about almost 2 p.m. And essentially we've got ourselves into a pretty decent position. And we got to kind of hold on to this area. With the updates, also updated the forecast for the Gulf Stream, and I'm essentially about 60, 70 miles away from all of it. And so this is kind of where I'm going to just hold up until things get favorable. That should give me 12 to 16 hours of wiggle room if I need to just run off before this thing, which would be to the southeast if I'm going dead downwind. So what I'm basically trying to do is keep some distance, keep some room in between me and the stream, because we all know that gets a little dicey, and the forecasting on that is not great as far as where all the eddies are and stuff. So I want to keep a good amount of distance. And essentially, we're going to hold up here. The winds are going to shift and start blowing up to 25 tonight, but it really doesn't start to kick in until it does its shift back to the west-northwest, and that's when it's going to blow about 30 for about 24 hours. And my hope is to just sort of stay hove to and downside the sails, all that sort of stuff tonight, and then as the winds come around, maybe do a little fore-reaching, slowly make my way south. So that when the winds do die off and become much more manageable, then I can just beeline it for the stream. Then I've got about 3-4 days of really good weather. Nice medium breeze out of the northeast or northwest, to be able to cross the stream and get south of it to warmer temperatures. I'm really looking forward to that. Although I must say, like today, once I went and tacked over and the winds are dying off, the sun is just blazing out there. Little side note, also, one of the benefits of switching my tack and everything is now the solar panels are getting full sun, and I've watched it go from 12.7 to 13.2 currently and building. So hopefully we'll get another hour of juice so that I don't have to run that engine at all, because everything's all locked down nice and tight. Life raft has been moved. Rig has been inspected. Deck check is done. Down below, things are stowed extra tight. And there really isn't too much else to do except maybe try and get a nap in between now and about 6-7 o'clock tonight. Just get some of that rest so that I can fight the good fight into the wee hours if need be. Really, the game plan always with this sort of stuff, in my sort of estimation, is preemptive strikes so that when things get a little bit ugly and the waves get big, you don't have to leave the comfort of the companionway or even the cockpit. So that will be the hope. I envisioning in my plan A essentially is once the winds kind of do switch and I can hove to on the other tack or hope. I used to not even think about that word. And then I saw some comment on I don't know if it was on YouTube or whatever. And it was talking about that heave to and hove to and all that. I don't know. It's got my brain scrambled. So I'm just going to keep spewing it out. And it really doesn't matter to me if I'm incorrect in my pronunciation of it. I'm much more concerned with how I can actually do it. So thanks though for the tip. I do, if I could keep it straight, I would. So get on the other one, and hopefully, I think I'm just gonna preemptive strike if the winds are big enough. If they come on like with a light switch, which I think they will, up to about 25 knots, I should be good to do storm jib, triple reef main, and that should be super comfy as the waves and everything build up. And then when it's blowing 30 to 35, then we'll be kind of in our zone, and hopefully happy as a clam. That's plan A. Plan B is to essentially stay with the staysail through the night, staysail and probably triple reef, nice and balanced, and switch it out in the morning. Which again, I really don't want to do that. If I can get away with it early, but it is one of those things where if you take down too much sail too quick, the motion of the ocean lets you know it. You need that pressure. Those sails just don't push you forward, but they also stabilize the vessel, and that's kind of the key. Part of me was kind of like, oh man, maybe I could use this, and I don't know, maybe I still can. But I was thinking if it's not too hectic. Oh, excuse me. Wow, that yawn hit me out of nowhere. It was like a punch in the face. It would be kind of interesting to do a couple different simulation sort of things. Again, I really don't want to do this if it's pretty wild, but it'd be interesting because I've always been very curious about lying a hull. I don't really think it's a great idea, but it has served as a valid storm tactic for a long time, and there are people that swear by it. So it would be interesting to see what the motion is like and what the boat does in those conditions. And then a little fore-reaching, a little crutch kind of thing. And then obviously heaving to. And then the other one is my personal favorite, running before the storm. So it would be, I don't know, maybe we will be able to do that. I'm kind of doubting it because usually when I get in these situations, I kind of just want to go with what's working and stay there and not mess around. But you never know. We'll just have to sort of see. Oh, the sun is just blazing in my eyes now. But it does feel kind of warm and nice. And I finally got the Starlink to work. So obviously you got your update from yesterday, the 14th. Which is cool. I think the motion was just a little, or I was just pointing it in the wrong direction. I think I got to point it to the northwest, maybe. Probably should have done a little more due diligence on, the care and how you set up a Starlink. But on all the boats that I've ever been on that have it, if it's not mounted permanently, we just essentially bring it up into the cockpit and set it up. And I think it was always just angled to the north. But who knows? We were able to get it going, posted a couple things, updated the podcast, got the weather, all that. But I tell you, I am glad I have the Iridium Go because the first couple go-arounds with that Starlink in the rolly and heavier seas, it wasn't working. It couldn't tag those satellites. So whether that's me or just the actual motion of the boat, it's kind of good to know that I've got that backup because the Iridium, that pretty much just works all the time. But again, that's just a forecast. So big question on the table here is, do we What do we have for dinner? Little din action. I had that chicken cordon bleu thing, or I think it was like garlic chicken. Oh my gosh. So you bite into this thing, and there's all this like buttery, garlicky juice in the middle, and I did not realize that was going to be the case. And I bit into it, and that juice like dripped all over, and it stinks. Not in a bad way exactly, but it's just so potent that I can't stop. I'm still smelling it. Oh, man. Bummer. Absolute bummer. And then, obviously, while I was cooking, I was having my sundowner. And because of the rough seas, my beer spilled on top of the range. So it sizzled as it dripped into the oven. And so the old Sparrow smelled like a bar room after a heavy night. So that wasn't very pleasant either. But who knows? Who knows? We're all good. Bed is made, the bunk is made. I'm probably going to go around, do some more checks and stuff while I have this lovely calm patch to go through. And then I'm going to crank back with my Clive Cussler book, the one I am reading right now, Ghost Soldier. Ooh, I like the sound of that. I do like the classic ones where when Dirk Pitt was a lot younger. But hey, his son's in it now, although this one is Juan Calbero. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. The Oregon Files. It's pretty dope. All right, well, I think that's the update for now. We'll probably slam one more of these in once we've set up and poised ourselves to deal with a little bit of rough weather and try and hold our position so that we don't wander too close to the old Gulf Stream. One of the last thing on that is, according to the forecast, and this, because it's just like a day out or 12 hours out, I am upwind and upwave of the Gulf Stream. That's where I want to be. My weather's coming from the northwest. The Gulf Stream is to the southeast, and I think that's a pretty favorable position. Now, I could be completely wrong. This could all blow up in my face. I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm hoping not to have a repeat of 2022. And so let's just fingers crossed on that. I am going to charge up the old GoPro. Hopefully we'll get some good footage of some rollers and stuff like that, and also the techniques put into action. Obviously, a little nerve-wracking. Not gonna lie, I've never been one to look at a forecast of 25 or more knots and be like, oh, this is gonna be fun. I'm like, oh man, really? I'm gonna deal with this now? You know me. Give me 82 degrees. A nice 12-knot breeze on the beam and a slight ocean swell. Oh, I'm in absolute heaven. You go below that, you go above it. I'm kind of like, and I don't know. I really, in my elder age, I really start to cherish the fine weather sailing or the fair weather sailing more. But I do also realize that without a beating now and again, the fair weather sailing kind of gets a bit mundane and loses its zest and its zeal and its appeal. So, I need some calms. I need some storms. I need all this sort of stuff to keep the roller coaster going, because if you don't have the highs and lows, dude, you might as well be in a parking lot. How's that for an analogy? Love it. All right, till next one. Here we go again. Kind of funny how many times I have sat or stood in the companionway, washboards in, fully buckled down, battened down, if you will. Hove to out on the ocean, listening to the winds through the rigging and sort of bouncing over the waves. We're here again. But we are counting down the hours before we turn and burn. Oh, Lord Almighty. It's about 5 a.m. on the 16th of November now. We're going into day 3, which is great. This is going to be the heaviest weather day I think we're going to see. Hopefully, knock on some wood for the trip. But, yeah, I'm about 80 miles or so, 70, 80 miles due north of the Gulf Stream. And therein lies the rub. That's why the holding pattern for the last, 12 hours or so, just kind of waiting. So, because if I went with it right now, I would reach the Gulf Stream and the eddies that lie around it while we're, still blowing 30-plus knots. And I don't want to deal with that. Just in case the forecasts aren't 100% correct all the time, and lesson learned way back in the day. So, essentially, I'm just a ticking clock at this point. I figure I'm going to probably average about 7 knots. So that gives me about 10 hours. So as soon as I see fit, probably sometime after lunch or so, I'm going to update the weather, see how that goes and everything. I don't mind hitting that area. Basically, the winds are going to be blowing out of the northwest. The stream is headed to the east, so it's not a direct crossing. It's kind of a... it's going with it and it's crossing, if that makes any sense. So it's not, it's not the danger zone of directly opposing the current, and it's not also the danger zone of going across the current, which also can be pretty sassy. It's more of a broad reach, if you will. I don't know if that makes much sense. It's been long night of anticipation and waiting, unfortunately. I definitely still am dealing with the effects from that night. Unfortunately, that's just kind of how it goes. That stuff lingers, I'm looking at these waves. I'm like, how big are they going to get? And so far, they have not gotten all that big. Again, knock on some wood. I don't want to conjure up 25-footers or a strange eddy in the Gulf Stream this far north. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm a bag of nerves, but I'm definitely a little nervous, or at least I was. Things are starting to kind of ease off. It's really quite amazing what a human can become sort of used to in a very, very short amount of time. We are adaptable things. I can remember being on this beautiful 68-foot oyster Imagination, and we sailed across with one of the great captains that I was ever able to sail with, David Miles. And he looked just like Dudley Moore. He was British, and man, he was an old salt. He was just from a bygone era. And yeah, we had some decently heavy weather on that trip, and we went from Antigua to the Azores to Gibraltar to Palma. And yeah, I don't know, after 4 or 5 days of 25 knot winds, it was sort of just, we kind of joked about, we were like, dude, if you took somebody off of the land and just dropped them on this boat, they'd probably be freaking out. And we're sitting there sipping scotch and waters. God, every time he was doing the hover. So we had 3 crew, 1 person who was going to be the chef, and then Captain David was basically in hover mode. And hover mode quickly turned into, oh, Jerome's on deck, so let's mix up a little something. We never had more than 2, but it seemed like that was kind of the MO. Everybody else was feeling a little bit queasy because we had a decent sea state, and I don't know. We were just getting along like peas in a pod, if you will. But yeah, it was just funny how you get used to it. And even now, after just being in this sort of sitch, I am parked on the ocean and, got the storm jib backwinded, got the triple reefed main sheeted, not hard, but in. Actually, this time, because I switched over to the chain mechanism with Mongo, i.e. instead of having the jam cleats on the tiller, now there's like a chain that links in there, but that's only about a foot section of chain. So I can't quite use Mongo to really hold her over. So I actually had to use a different line, which is, it's shaking up my whole world, man. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it seems to be working pretty good. That's locked off. And yeah, the sun is about to rear its lovely head. It's just after 5, so around 5:30 we should start to see some light, which is always a welcome sight. And as far as the forecast goes right now, it's really not supposed to pump up until sometime around noonish, which means once it's light, I get my eyes on the old sea state, and I'm hoping basically to punch out for a little bit, get some sleep, at least a couple of hours, update the forecast after 8 a.m., and then yeah, just basically count the minutes. Because I don't know. For as lovely as it is to park yourself on the ocean, it's also kind of frustrating because you're not doing anything. You're just waiting. And so, I don't know. Part of me wants to do a little forereaching, see how that goes. See if I can get myself in an even better position. So we might try a little dabble of that while we got this sail set. I did mention wanting to try lying a haul, but honestly, it's not. It sounds like a lot of work, and I'm pretty sure that as soon as I do it, the motion of the boat's gonna be so awful that I'm going to be like, oh my God. And now I got to put all these sails back up. So we'll see. Oof. Increase in wind speeds there. It hasn't been too bad yet. I'd say winds holding steady around 25, and then every once in a while they pump up into the high 20s. But we had semblance of stars in and around all the places. In between clouds and stuff, we had a couple of big lightning storms, but they passed to the south of us. Right now, we're pointed just about due south, maybe just a hair to the west of south, and at least that's our heading. We're only doing about 1 knot, so we're essentially not moving. But a couple of ships have gone by, thankfully, at a bit of a distance. My plan for that, essentially, is if we got on a little collision course, I have enough wiggle room again between me and the stream that I could peel off for a little bit, grab a couple of miles to my CPA, my closest point approach, and feel like I'm doing all right. And yeah, that's it. The bunk is super comfy. It's on the low side. All this other stuff's on the high side, which I don't really like. The electric skateboard is down under the bunk. Oh, man. I am so looking forward to getting through this next little 24 hours. Because by the time it's 5 a.m. and the sun is coming up tomorrow, we should be on the back end of this thing, pretty much nearing or in the Gulf Stream, feeling the warmth of that warm water, and just watching the seas ease up around us. That's going to be pretty amazing. Kind of focusing on that a little bit, but also just kind of keeping myself in the now, in the here, in the suffering, if you will, because that'll, if I try not to think about this, then I don't know. Maybe it'll. I don't want to miss this. I guess. I got to embrace it. Embrace this this nervousness and the uncertainty that comes along with it, and feel the relief when it's over. But also, you don't trust it. There's been a lot of times where I'm like, oh, and I start thinking about the what ifs and all that sort of stuff, and I just have to stop myself. Just like kung fu chop, bang! No, you will not, because you are going to rise to the occasion. Mighty Sparrow is super strong. We're all batting down. We've got our game plans in place. Everything is as well prepared as possible, and whatever things do come awry and pop out of this thing, well, hey, you know what? We're gonna make a call. We're gonna carry something out, and we're gonna do it. Have you noticed how I'm trying to convince myself that I'm in a safe position? No, I don't know. It is one of those things where the intensity. And this is for just me personally, the intensity of the sound and the motion, and the odd breaker that rolls on by. Right now, because we don't have the current and stuff, the waves are behaving like they normally do, where you get a little bit of a whitewater breaker up top, and then it fades away behind the wave. It doesn't thunder down the front of it for 100 yards. Making a cacophony of noise that can be audible up to a half mile away. Now, granted, those were much larger waves for sure, but I've seen them on small scales and I've seen them on big, and it is a vast difference when you have a current to when you do not have a current. It really is striking how much that affects the behavior of waves, and really the reality is how dangerous they are. So that's why we're here right now, hove to and or heaving to, and yeah, we will remain here until we feel and deem it safe to turn, burn, ease out those sails, surf some waves. I expect to see definitely 14, 15 knots of boat speed. That's going to be awesome. I do wish my AIS had... I wish it had like a little max speed setting. But it doesn't. Oh, it's too bad. Too bad. But neither here nor there. That's my update for this morning. Hopefully all this goes out in one podcast, and then we'll just continue things forward. But I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to be able to use the Starlink. I may try and do it, because it definitely didn't work last time, and then it did work, but only once it calmed down. And the motion of the boat's a little bouncy at this point. So thanks for listening, and yeah, we'll keep them rolling. All right, welcome back. Last edition for this one. Hopefully this will go out. I'm going to try the Starlink. It's a little rocky and rolly, I'm not going to lie. And I'm kind of doubting that the Starlink will actually work, but we're going to string all these suckers together and plug that sucker in and see what happens, and hopefully it works. I mean, I just made a grilled cheese sandwich, so I figure if I can do that, Starlink should probably work. Is that a good equation or what? Yeah, just a quick update just to wrap up what's going on and where we are. So essentially, we were hove to, and things were going just all right. We're just kind of holding position, and I'm, looking at the weather updates and everything, and essentially it looked like from the most recent forecast that it was going to blow harder where I was and be a little gentler if I were to peel off and start sailing. And we're talking by like 2 knots maybe. So one was going to be blowing like 35, the other was going to be blowing like 32. But that was kind of just the tiniest excuse I needed, because in the back of my head, was this little voice going like, dude, go for it. You can just go for it. And I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to learn from my mistakes. I'm trying to make good choices. But then I'm also looking at this ripping wind and these sweet waves. And I'm like, this is perfect for a downwinder, like dead downwind, triple reef main, sheeted out, surfing 13, 14 knots. And yeah, I don't know. A break in the clouds came. All of a sudden it got sunny. And I was kind of like, whoa. And I keep looking at the forecast. And, well, I got to tell you, that little tiny mitochondria of encouragement came out against all other better judgment, I suppose. Well, I don't know. We'll see. It does look, all the forecast indicators look for a smooth, quick crossing of the stream later tonight in lighter winds than I would be dealing with up north if I just hove to and just stayed there. Plus, it was driving me crazy to just sit. I just, it was, it's a mental game out here, folks. It's not the easiest thing in the world to quantify, but sometimes the strain on your brain becomes so much that you got to change your game plan a little bit. So I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to find out if I pay the price tonight, if all of a sudden it decides to pipe up to 40 knots and a big fat eddy decides to rear its ugly head. I don't think it will. I'm hoping, that whole adage of lightning doesn't strike twice and all that. But it is eerily similar to the 2022 voyage, isn't it? Hove to, gonna hang loose. Then I decided to go. Then I was threading the needle. I will say, I vividly remember exactly what all those eddies looked like on that forecast. And, that was absolutely batshit crazy what I was like, oh, dude, I'll just cut right through the middle of them. No. This is a big fat blob that's going basically due east. Winds are out of the west-northwest and looking favorable. As we get further south, it should be dropping below 30. So I think we should be okay. Yeah. I don't know, though. I just, I was just like, man, let's go for a rip. Because I was going to go and reach and do all this other stuff, kind of mess around just to actually do something. Because I was just so sick of sitting. And now, we've been ripping down these waves for hours now and super steady. I took a nap earlier. We're feeling pretty in the mode. I'm still prepped. I'm ready to go hove to anytime I need. Storm jib is sitting flush on the deck up there. Pretty much just running off the main and drilling it in. So, hey, it is what it is. We'll do another update tomorrow, obviously. But we're going to see if we can put this one out tonight. So I think this will be a little bit of day 2 and day 3. Today's day 3, the 16th. So right now, just so you know, it is 3:40 on November 16th. And that's when I'm recording this. All right. That's it for now. Hopefully everybody has an awesome night, and hopefully I do as well. Fingers crossed. And we should be pretty good to go. All right. Thanks for listening.